All right, hello, my name is Chris, and tonight I'm going to be interviewing Ms. Thanh, better known as TT, for the position of External Vice President for the Gulf Coast UVSA E-Board. She is a graduate of LSU, and she's held numerous positions with her VSA. This includes freshman rep, external VP, and as their president. She was also the Visionary Scholarship recipient for UNASVA 10 and worked and served on the Asian American Student Intercollegiate Association. And she is currently the co-regional representative for Gulf Coast for UNASVA's Council of Regional Representatives. Welcome, Ms. Thanh.
Hello.
All right. Well, as you know, a term for the Gulf Coast UVSA position is 2 years. If you win your nomination, what do you hope to accomplish in those 2 years?
So within the 2 years, if I were to win the nomination, I would like to see a more well-structured UVSA. UVSA Gulf Coast being a fairly young organization, I feel like there's just so much more work that needs to be done. We've, just starting from the ground up, we've got a good solid constitution going this year. Now we need to take it to the next step, whether that be branding ourselves a little bit better, reaching out to hopefully to more VSAs across our region to expand. But before doing that, of course, I'd like to see us become more stable financially. And hopefully, eventually down the road, we could become a 501c3, and get that nonprofit status. That would be awesome, in my opinion, but I know that'll take a lot of time. So for the most part, I just want to see UVSA continue to grow. I don't expect anything super dramatically changing within the next 2 years, just because, like I said, the organization is just so young that it's kind of like having to take baby steps, and getting to that point is going to take a while, in my opinion. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, right. Okay, good. Describe some of your strengths and weaknesses for the position you've applied for.
So strengths for EVP. Sorry, I just hear myself. Okay. I heard an echo. That's why I was distracting me. Strengths as EVP. For starters, being an external vice president before for VSA LSU, that's definitely, I'd say that's a strength just in terms of knowing what the role is. Now for UVSA Gulf Coast, the EVP position is a little bit more in depth in terms of, outreaching to community, partnering up with nonprofits, that whole deal. I think one of the greatest things that I can bring to the table is the fact that I do have those connections within the community, specifically the New Orleans community. My goal is to, of course, outreach across the region to Alabama, Mississippi. I feel like my communication skills are very strong. Being a public relations major in college definitely helped me with that, also with good writing skills, being able to write letters or any kind of announcement, news release, whatever needs to be done. That's definitely something that I can manage. And in terms of weaknesses for the position, I would say the biggest weakness and most obvious would be me not physically living in the region anymore. I actually reside in Nashville, Tennessee now. I am working full time. That has already kind of posed a challenge for me this year, being core and not physically being able to go to some of the bigger events in my region. And that's kind of one of the biggest concerns that I had already thought about before applying for the position. However, because I feel like it's the external VP position is more about outreach and communicating with other organizations, I feel like although it would be nice to be there for every encounter, I can still do these things via email, over the phone, try to schedule a time for me to kind of knock it all at once whenever I do go back and visit my region. But that would be the biggest weakness right now, is obviously not being able to physically be there. So, yeah.
All right. Well, as external VP, you may be given a task or goal that's a little too large for one to accomplish by themselves. What experiences do you have with delegation?
Okay, so obviously being president before, I've had to learn how to delegate tasks. You said the question was, what's the biggest challenge, or how do I handle delegation? What was that again?
Correct. As far as what experiences do you have with delegation, and would you have any kind of problems or issues as far as trying to get people, delegated jobs?
Okay, cool. No, I don't think I'd have too much of a problem. I know whenever I was president, sometimes I would have to micromanage if need be. Of course, that is kind of one of those last resort types of deals. You know, I hate to micromanage people. I hate having to keep checking up on people. So, I mean, in my opinion, the best way to delegate is just to make sure the tasks is split. The tasks are split out evenly, right? So just making sure that it's something that's manageable for the other person to do, the person who I'm telling to do the task. And of course, if it's something that I absolutely would need assistance with, is when I would actually delegate tasks. Otherwise, for the most part, I feel like I should be responsible for my job and my duties under my own position. And like I said, I do have experience with delegating tasks, being president once, learning how to kind of oversee everyone's duties and kind of making sure that everything's going in the right direction, but not necessarily taking too much control when I need to, pull back a little bit. So, yeah.
Okay. What led to your desire to run for EVP?
Well, I'll be honest, if it wasn't for me not being in the region, I probably would have wanted to do more within UVSA. But because after being core this year, I'm not going to lie, I think that this year has really opened up more for me. It kind of made me realize that our region this is the time when we need to really grow and strengthen ourselves. We've sort of had like a period of time when everything was just kind of a little wompy. Like, we didn't know where we were as a region. No one was really sort of taking the lead. And I feel like that's the reason why I want to run for EVP. Obviously, I don't trust myself as being president or anything like that nature, only because, I'm not physically there, and that just would not be right at all to the region. But as the EVP, I just feel like I can still do more, from a distance, not necessarily having to physically be there. And I just feel like right now we are in a good enough position to really go forward within our region. I've seen these past couple of years with leadership going downhill and that whole thing, and this, I don't know, it's just almost like I see like there's this little bit of a spark that needs to really be ignited, and that's really why I want to take on a position on UVSA on the UVSA Gulf Coast e-board. Yeah, really to help out, really to give back to the community is probably one of the biggest goals right now that I have, especially back to the Vietnamese community within the Gulf Coast region.
Yeah, that's great. It sounds like you have a lot of passion. I mean, you have a lot of also a huge amount of experience coming with you. One of the biggest concerns, right, being a part of Gulf Coast UVSA's e-board, you're going to hear criticism directed at your board and maybe even at yourself at some times. How would you handle such criticism?
The good old-fashioned crisis communications. Well, first of all, transparency. That's always the first key, is to be open about it. You want to tell the truth. You want to make sure that the truth is being told in a way that won't be offensive to anybody, that won't, necessarily harm UVSA's image. I mean, people are going to talk, and there's always going to be some type of controversy, but if you're not honest with the public and if you're not telling them the truth, then it's only going to be worse from there, right? So I would say that the best way to handle any kind of criticism is to first apologize, whatever the matter may be, to first apologize, regardless if we were right or if we were wrong, whatever. And then from there to tell them as openly as possible what happened or what went down. And I'm not saying to give them every specific little, I guess, in background detail about the situation, but just so that they're aware of kind of trying to get them to understand why something may have seemed like a certain way or whatever. And I'm just kind of thinking in a more negative sense right now, like if this is like the worst possible thing that has happened to our to our organization, God forbid. But that would be the biggest solution, is just to be very open and transparent about it. And that's just how it should always be. Transparency is key to everything, especially when it comes to maintaining a strong, healthy e-board. That too, I believe, internally, you want to remain transparent with one another, and externally just as well. So, yeah, I hope that sort of answers it.
Yeah. All right. And, do you have any final or closing words for your constituency?
Not necessarily. No, I hope that, well, I hope that I get the position, and I hope that people believe and have faith in me to to be worthy for the EVP position. I just feel like this. I hope that whoever else gets on the e-board will do a really good job for UVSA Gulf Coast. I mean, the organization definitely deserves it. And just being in a position right now where we kind of have this little fire going on, we definitely need to keep it up. And in the long term, I really hope to see new leaders grow within our region. And whether that start with like a VSA position or going to UNAVSA, Camp Delta, whatever, I just hope that it continues on. And also so that eventually we can give back to the community, just because that is definitely something I have not seen for quite some time now. And I really do want to be able to work alongside some of the other, Asian organizations within the Gulf Coast region, Guangdong, Vietnam, all that type of stuff. We really could be making a difference. And I really want to put a positive name and light to young college leaders, I guess, because they kind of sum us up as like college students. So yeah, that would be my closing words.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Tata, for taking the time out to do the interview. Also, happy belated birthday, and good luck with your nomination. For all those watching, thank you. And this is Chris saying have a wonderful day and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.